Hi, it's Ashley.
Hi, it's Beth.
And we are Shelf Care.
Wow.
Wow.
Third episode.
Third episode here. So today we're going to be doing Just for the Summer. But before we dive into that, let's talk about what we're currently reading.
So I'm currently reading Adelaide. I believe that's the name. And it's by Genevieve Wheeler.
Okay.
What are you currently reading?
I'm reading King of Wrath, which I just started the first one, and I'm a couple chapters in, and it's really good. I'm
So
super excited because I've heard such good things about it. And I also just started reading Funny Story by Emily Henry. It just came out, and it's really good so far. I'm about 100 pages in, and I like it. Yes.
I mean, Emily Henry doesn't usually miss.
No, she really doesn't. Maybe one book, but just kidding. Okay. So, what did you think about Just for the Summer?
I loved it. It was my new favorite Abby Jimenez.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it was the favorite of all three that I've read. Out of the little... I don't know if it's a trilogy because she keeps building on it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but it could also be read as a standalone.
Yeah.
Which I liked. I also agree with that. It was my favorite out of those.
Yeah.
I think it goes Just for the Summer, Part of Your World, and then yours truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I agree with that. I just liked the depth of the characters in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And their relationship wasn't immediate love. Which I did see some bad reviews that everyone thought that they immediately were in love, but I really don't think they were. Well, Justin might have been, but...
Yeah, I think... Yeah, he did have that kind of vibe. Especially because, so basically... going into the book, just telling you a little bit about it before we get into spoilers, they each have their curse, basically, is what they say, and everybody who dates them, they break up with them, and then they meet their love of their life, and so everybody wants to date them, to go end up with their love of their life.
Yeah.
And so they think that if they date each other, then maybe they can break the curse and then go and meet the love of their life, but then they end up kind of falling for each other.
Yeah. But, so, background on that. Emma is a travel nurse. So, the reason that she never stays in long-term relationships, at least until we get into, the depth of her character, is because she's never in one place for too long.
Yeah.
But Justin seems to be actually dating to find someone to marry. Yeah,
pretty frequently, I feel like.
So, I feel like they were... two sides of the spectrum. Emma really didn't care, but Justin really cared. So yes. I guess we can dive into a couple of things. So Justin is a software engineer and Emma is a travel nurse. How do you think do you think that they matched so well because they were different, so different?
I think so. Honestly, I think that opposites kind of attract.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's my personal take on it, in my love life.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it works. I
think so too. I'm also married to an engineer, so.
Oh, look at that.
So, a nurse and engineer, it just works.
I never saw that. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Yeah. No, I just think that she's such a control freak, and I don't know, I think he likes control, but he has those quirky little antics, and I just think that made them work. How did you feel about Maddie?
So at the beginning, I was kind of skeptical. Maddie is Emma's best friend. And so basically, Maddie's parents, she has two moms, they wanted to adopt Emma. But, they kind of fostered her, but Emma didn't want them to adopt her. But they were really good people and stuff. It was just because Emma has issues with her mom. But I was skeptical at first because I was like, why is she being so mean against, Emma's real mom, Amber? And I was just so skeptical. I feel like she's just so judgmental. But honestly, she was right. I really liked her in the end. I thought she was a really good friend.
Yeah. I think that she seemed jaded for sure in the beginning when Emma's mom, showed up. And so that was a little bit much for me in the beginning. I was like, whoa, what is this girl doing? But in reality, she'd just been around and she knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I do think she was a great friend.
Speaking of Maddie, spoilers now. We're going to talk about all the spoilers, but I'm really excited. Hopefully she comes out in like the next book. But she gets her own book, hopefully with Doug.
I don't think that they're going to get their own book.
You don't think so? You think that was just a little snippet?
I think that she gave us Doug and Maddie's story in that little, like, blip at the back. And I don't think we're going to get a Maddie and Doug. Maybe.
I would have loved that story, I feel like.
Not true, because, like, how did they meet? I mean, I guess we know how they met.
In the town.
But how did that relationship transpire? You know, I think that there could be book potential there, but I don't know. I think she kind of already spoiled it.
It's just because they're already together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would still read it, though. Abby, I'm just kidding. If you put it out there, I'll still read it.
Well, I mean, I'll read anything Abby puts out there, so. All right, speaking of good friends, let's talk about Brad.
Honestly, that whole thing I really loved. Like, starting with the "Am I the asshole?" prompt, like, I just loved how she did that because it's so current, and I like love watching those on TikTok.
Yeah.
So I was just really there for it. But
so the book starts out with Emma replying to Justin's post of "Am I the asshole?" And basically, his friend ends up dating his ex-girlfriend, falling in love, and then they decide to move in together. So he leaves the lease that they're in together, and goes to live with his girlfriend. And so Justin has to get an apartment. He has to downsize in the apartment building, and he has to get in this apartment that has the Toilet King's disgusting
it's like a
poster. Why am I saying poster?
Display. I don't know. Like what is it called?
The sign. The road signs.
The road signs.
Anyways, we'll come back to that. But anyways, it's a giant toilet bowl of stuff right outside his window. It's the only view that he has. And so he ends up naming his dog Brad.
Yeah, after. He got this really, he says it's a really ugly...
Yeah, he picked the ugliest dog he could find at the shelter and named him Brad. So...
Well, do you think he's an asshole?
No.
No,
I think Brad
not.
deserved it. I mean, and him and Brad are still best friends.
Yeah.
Just to clarify. And Brad's mom is actually Justin's mom's best friend. And she's been trying to get him to change this name forever. But I don't think he should change the dog's name.
And I'm so glad that at the end of the book, he left it. Him and his dog, Brad.
Yeah. Justin and Brad, the dog.
I would have loved to seen a picture of the dog.
Yes. I know.
100%. What did you think about how Justin's friends redid his house?
Oh, that was so, like, special. So, backing up, Justin has his own problems. As we're finding out about Emma's problems with her mom, Justin has his own problems with his mom. So Justin, his mom, after his dad died, ended up embezzling lots of money. And she was going to prison, and Justin was going to have to take over his siblings' care. So I think 16, 12, and 5.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's their ages. Anyways, and so he's very angry with his mom. And we'll kind of get into a little bit more of that in a second. But after Justin's mom went to jail, Justin moved into his old house. And so his friends, before he moved in, completely redid the master bedroom so that Justin could live there and not be like in his mom's bedroom. And I think that's so real of them.
Yeah. And speaking of his friends, if you've read Yours Truly, one of his best friends is Ben, who is Bree's brother that got the kidney.
Yes. Which I just think that was such a good tie-in. I didn't immediately notice it. And then I think it took two mentionings. And then I was like, oh.
I think that's the one thing that I did notice. I don't know why I had like so many brain farts when I read the book, but I never noticed that Neil was like Neil from Part of Your World until like close to the end, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't know why, but I was just like, it didn't like click. Like I completely forgot about him, you know, being like the villain in the first book, and now he's like, I guess I mean it makes sense, but it just didn't click, like surgeon. And honestly, I didn't even think about the hospitals because it's the same hospital, and it went right over my head.
To be honest, I had an inkling at the very beginning when they decided to go to where they were, because Maria, the housekeeper, I'm pretty sure that was her name.
Yes.
Was talking about how they used to go out to this island all the time, but then his wife left him, or not wife, but I think he I don't know what she called her, but like his woman, his lady left him.
I think they were married.
No, I don't think they were.
No, they were just engaged.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know if they were engaged. I think that was a big part. He didn't want to marry her. I think.
Maybe they were just dating.
I think so.
Okay.
But they had this house together.
They had a house together.
Anyways, and so I kind of was like, is this gonna like bring back, you know, is this gonna tie in? But I wasn't for sure till she saw him at the hospital. And then I was like, oh.
I'm so sad I didn't get that reference until later.
Well, do you remember when I started the book and I said, is Amber Daniel's mom?
Yeah. And you said that, and I was like, what?
And Ashley was like, no, there's no way.
Dude,
there's
and
no
even
way.
though you said that, like, and then I read the book, like, I didn't remember our conversation.
I was shook. And then at the end, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But
going back to the embezzlement with his mom and stuff.
So I feel like he was justified in being upset. But I really loved how Emma talked about how you should forgive above anything else. Like, you should always forgive people because you never know what they're going through. And I really loved how that kind of opened his eyes. And he was like, oh my gosh, like, my mom, maybe she didn't cry every day, but she did this because she was grieving. And so I felt for him and his mom in that moment.
I think that, I mean, for Emma she said that throughout the entire book. She always said it's easier to forgive or something than stay mad or something about that. Like, just forgive people instead of just
her
holding
big
a
thing
grudge.
was forgiveness. But I think that kind of led back to her trauma bond with her mom.
But I don't know, like, in that moment when she told Justin that,
it was what he
I feel
needed to
like
hear.
it's like, it was, but then also I'm like, it's easier said than done. Because
True.
I feel like coming back, like, if my mom did that, like, I don't know if I would be so easily to forgive.
Yeah,
you
especially when you end up, I don't want to say end up with the kids.
But I mean, you do.
But
like, it's not like, you're obviously going to do it, but it's not
major
something that
life
you would
change.
want to choose to do.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And I think I was just like, I was on his side for sure. Like, I don't know. I was just totally on his side. Like, I wouldn't want to do that either. Not that he wasn't going to. But.
Yeah. I also see, though, that, like, she was going to prison soon.
Yeah.
And so really he needed to kind of spend that time with her, even though he was upset with her. I didn't love that he was avoiding her because you know, you only know how much time you have, especially his dad died suddenly. So I think in that moment, which again, easier said than done, but you just kind of have to forgive and move on, and you can still be upset. You don't have to forget about it, but I did like that.
That's totally true.
So I feel like we should talk a little bit about Emma's past.
Yeah. So Emma her mom is named Amber, and she never knew who her dad was. And it was just Amber and her, that's all she knew. And sometimes her mom would just leave for like a day or a couple days at a time. Sometimes it was a week, but she would just leave Emma. Like, she was still younger than 10, I want to say. One of the really bad times that she left her, that it talks about in the book. And Emma, you know, she would go to school and, like, you know, try to stock up from, like, the lunch food because her mom wouldn't leave her lunch. Or, like, if there was a bunch of days that she left, she wouldn't have anything to eat, any clean clothes. Just, like, you know, just really bad parent. And one of those times, she left her for a really long time, and Emma was so hungry that she went to her neighbor's house and ate all the carrots from her garden. And she had a, what is it?
She turned orange.
Yeah, she turned orange.
Yeah, so that was the first time that Emma had to go to foster care because Emma's neighbor that she dug up all those carrots, she ended up going back to her house after she turned orange because she thought she was seriously ill, sick, and the neighbor called Child Protective Services. So that was the first time that Emma's mom lost her to the foster care. And Emma talks about how she had good foster care homes and bad foster care homes, and she ultimately ended up, I think when she was 14, at Maddie's house with her parents. I don't know, like, I
honestly wish that we got more of that backstory about how Emma felt about them, because all we ever got was that they were good and they put her through nursing school and everything, but she never wanted to go back there. Like, she didn't want to go back for their anniversary. She just didn't want to go visit them, and like we never really got like why.
I feel like, and this is just me like guessing, and you know, but I feel like she just felt like if she loved them, she would end up loving them more than she loved her mom, and she didn't want them to adopt her for a reason, because she thought her mom wouldn't come back if, you know, someone else adopted her. So I don't get me wrong, I don't get it. I don't get why that happened, but I see kind of where they were going with that. I did think that it painted Emma in a super harsh light. Yeah. But I mean, that's just part of her trauma. So, but that definitely painted her in a harsh light. But I also think that it highlighted her commitment issues, which we see.
She really does have some commitment issues.
The only person she's ever committed to, the only people that were on her island were her mom and Maddie.
Speaking of islands, who do you think you would have in your island? Do you think you would have an island to begin with? Or do you feel like you have... It would be bigger?
I feel like I have an island, but I think I have more people on my island than Emma. I think my husband, obviously, probably my mom, and probably my sister would be on my island. Yeah, I think so. What about you? Would you even have an island?
I don't know. I mean, I could. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like on my island I would have my boyfriend, and I don't know, right now that's it.
Thanks.
We could live right there.
You can be on my island.
Thanks. I'll put you in there.
Thanks. You can have a boat.
A little boat.
Speaking of boats.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so when Maddie goes back to her parents for their anniversary, obviously Emma doesn't go. Well, Emma gets like the flu, some sort of virus.
I think something like that. I don't know if it was stomach bug or flu, but she was super sick.
And the caveat to moving to this, well, basically anytime Maddie and Emma moved anywhere, they pick a unique place to stay. And so Emma and Maddie ended up staying on an island, which is basically like a guest house, but it's in the middle of the lake, and you have to get a boat to go there. Well, Emma is too sick to get her boat and go back to shore, and she ends up calling Justin, and he can't find a way to get to her when he's trying to help her, and so he paddles on a unicorn floaty. It takes him an hour
to paddle. That is some hard work.
Dedication.
I don't think I would have done that.
And wasn't it raining too?
It was raining too. Yeah, and the waves were fighting against him. I don't think I would have been able to do that. Honestly,
I think that this book would make an excellent movie. And for that scene,
just alone. Oscar nominee.
I'm here for Justin paddling on a unicorn floaty to the island.
Who do you see Justin as?
What do you mean?
Like, as a celebrity. Like, to play his character.
Ooh, I don't know. Someone kind of goofy, probably.
Goofy?
Not like, cute, but goofy.
I'm trying to think. Because they were almost 30.
Yeah. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, we'll come back to it at the end.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll have to think about that. So, were you rooting for Emma and Justin to get back together after their breakup?
Honestly, no. Because I was like, oh my gosh, like it broke my heart, and I just loved it then, that I was like, if they don't get back together, like this was such a good book, like regardless. And I really wasn't expecting them to get back together, because I was like, dang, I'm almost done. And then like, I don't know where they did.
I was not expecting them to get back together either. I honestly thought this was going to be a different type of ending for her. I thought she was going to kind of change it up.
And I was here for it.
And yeah, and just Justin didn't really need to work on himself. I feel like he had it together mostly. But Emma really needed to work on herself. And so I thought, oh, like, this is going to be a character building moment. She's going to work on herself. But in the Abby Jimenez style,
They did.
they got back together.
Which, I don't know, her characters always do that. But, I mean, I like them together. I do. And the way they got back together, I feel like I would have been happy even if he pushed a little bit. Like, you know, you left me out of nowhere. Now I kind of have, like, some trust that I need to put out there. But,
Yeah. And I think the kids were good for Emma. I really
think
do.
they were. And I really liked how she was already in town when Sarah called her and had her whole period.
I also loved that Sarah called her.
Yeah.
That
and
was
it
such a big moment.
And I thought it was so funny too, because I think what did she even say about how she didn't want her brother knowing about her period and just, you know, being embarrassed and stuff. And I thought it was super unique to put that in there.
So, okay. Backing up a little bit, when Emma runs away.
Which time?
When she runs away big time, when she goes to the airport hotel. Okay. So, are you the runner, or are you the best friend with the air tags in the suitcase?
I think I'm the best friend with the air tags, because I don't like it going to places alone. Like, I feel like I would get kidnapped.
Same. I'm definitely the air tags in the suitcase.
Yeah.
That was such a power move. I loved her even more after that.
Yeah, Maddie, she was so good right there. I don't know if I, like, do you think you have a friend like Emma that would run away?
I really don't.
And I feel like I've never met somebody like that.
I don't think so
I
either.
think it's just in movies that I've seen that.
Yeah, I've honestly never met someone.
Maybe that's not like a small town type of person. That's why they're not here.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
Because, like, where would we run to? I mean,
The airport.
the Amarillo airport.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's see here.
So, talking about travel nursing.
Okay.
If you were going to switch every 3 months, what kind of places do you think you would go to?
So, obviously, I'd have to make it worth it. So, you know, you don't want to go somewhere that doesn't pay enough to, like, you know, cover the cost of living and not make any money. But if cost was not an option, like, it didn't matter, I would definitely go to, like, Hawaii, national park areas, like maybe Montana, you know, where, like, good hiking, outdoorsy stuff, Florida, California. I would definitely go to, like, destination places. I don't know, and I'm sure there's other destination places out there that I wouldn't even think about, but those are the ones on the top of my head.
I don't know if I'd pick Minnesota.
You know, she picked that for a boy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it doesn't sound, I mean, with everything that he took her to, it did sound pretty cool, and I wonder if, like, these places are actually real.
Yeah, I think they are.
They are.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I've been to the Minnesota airport, the International Airport of Minnesota. No, that's not even true.
No.
That's not even true. It was Minneapolis.
No,
it's not. I don't even think that's in Minnesota. It's definitely not. So, there you go. I've never been to Minnesota. I just lied. But where would you go?
I think for sure Hawaii. I would want to go to New York, maybe go see Washington, and I don't know, just, I mean, pretty much everywhere, I feel like, if I had the option and I didn't have to go by myself, go, like, with a friend, and just fly all the time. But
would you travel nurse if you had, so One, would you, if you were single, would
Mm-hmm.
you travel nurse if your best friend was travel nursing with you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And if your boyfriend just could work from home or wherever, would you travel? If he could go with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he
I
wanted
would
to,
too.
I would.
For sure. I feel like I would definitely.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be so much fun because you're just exploring.
I that part would be fun, but I hate meeting new people. So
true.
that part of work, I don't know if I'd love it. But I mean, if I was doing 12 straight days out of the week, I feel like I would push through.
Gotta get a schedule like mine.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's see. If you could change something about the book ending, what would it be?
I think I would change kind of not the ending, but I don't know, I feel like I would want to take Amber out of the book earlier.
Yes.
Like have more of like their dates and stuff and less of Amber being such a big deal.
Yeah. But I think that
I know she
Amber
needed it.
was like a big part
Yeah,
because
it was like a turning point because she got to go to therapy and all that. But I just wish we got more of their dates.
But also at the beginning, she kind of like painted Amber to just, oh, Amber's just Amber. You know, she just doesn't have roots, whatever. But then we kind of get to see an unnamed mental illness, which seemed, you know, clinically kind of like bipolar. And, you know, she had depressions and then highs, but it was unnamed. You didn't know. So you kind of get to see like the progression of that. So I feel like that was important to both this book and Part of Your World, because Daniel, her other son, in Part of Your World, Amber was not in the book almost at all.
That's why I didn't pick up on.
Yeah, she was
How they're
only in it
related.
for a blip, and it was just she was going to sell his grandparents' house, and there was nothing he could do about it unless he had the money right then and there, which she ended up giving him some time. But we just saw her as like this cold, absent mother that didn't raise her kid, and then we
Here
see,
she is again.
yeah, here she is again. But it gives
character.
us a little bit more insight into kind of why she was the way that she was. I will say that I wish that she would have gone away a lot sooner,
Yeah.
because that was just heartbreaking over and over again.
I kind of wish that she would have gone to therapy but stayed in Minnesota with him.
Yeah, instead of breaking up. But then we wouldn't have that epic, you know, breakup scene where you think that,
That's
you know,
true.
things are never going to get better.
True. She just knows what to do.
I
what
know.
to do. Like we can't
She's
really
good.
say change this because she's too good.
What did you think about Neil's, I don't even know if you could call it
Redemption
redemption. I don't
arc?
even know if it's a redemption. He just wasn't terrible.
Honestly, I mean, he was such a villain in the first book that, you know, I'm glad he got his little redemption. I'm happy for him. He sounded a lot better than, I mean, he wasn't a jerk. He wasn't trying to, you know, boss people around or anything. He kind of...
He didn't have the verbal abuse going on. I almost felt sorry for him a little bit.
Yeah, I did. Like, with all your clothes and the freaking lawn
she
and
threw all
your
his
house
clothes on the lawn.
burning.
She was stealing his stuff. Yeah, but the end, you know, when she finally just loses it and burns his house down, and he's just sitting there smiling, I was just like, wow, this man is he's either really healed or really broken.
One thing I didn't like about him in the beginning of the book was that, like, when I didn't know it was him, was that he was just this random, like, fancy person, like, all rich, just letting this random girl just live with him, you know? Like, I was like, that's a red flag.
Like, just took her out on his yacht.
Yeah.
Invited her daughter over first day.
Went and cooked lobsters and
That
did
was a
all
little
this.
Okay, and this was a tiny, minuscule portion of the book that probably nobody really cared about. Why did he have an extra bikini in his house?
That was weird.
Yeah, so when they cooked lobsters, Emma didn't have a swimming suit, and so he gave her a bikini from his house.
Yeah.
He just had an extra
I'm sure
laying
he has
around.
girls over all the time.
I
so.
guess.
I think that was his vibe, though.
Yeah, I
having
guess.
her, I'm sure he had a bunch of others.
But also, would you have worn some rando girl
No.
swimsuit? That was
No.
another thing for me.
The fact that Emma did, though, that's gross. I would not wear somebody else's underwear.
Which is basically what a swimsuit
Yeah.
is. Yeah, that was a tiny portion, but I just felt like it needed to be talked about.
Why do you think that Amber hid her family?
I think it's because, I think that, one, she didn't want them to take Emma from her. And two, she didn't want Emma to want to go with them instead, because Daniel, I think he's 2 years older than Emma. No, 3, because she had Emma at 18, I think. And then
Daniel at 15.
So Daniel's already in love with her parents. Daniel already would choose her parents over her because they're raising him. And I just think she could not handle the rejection again. And so she just decided.
She's just so selfish.
Oh, yeah.
I hate her.
I don't think she'll ever get a redemption in my book.
I don't think so. I would be so surprised, though, if that actually happened.
I honestly, which I think that this group of people, their story's over. But then again, I thought that with yours truly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I think that these people's story's over because we talk about, Abby had an interview and she talks about her next book centers around a daughter whose mom has Alzheimer's, which we met on the first date.
Yeah.
And then a vet that she's dating falls in love with.
So she's moving on.
Yeah, so I think we're moving on.
Which, honestly, I love that she always does somebody in healthcare. Because, we're in healthcare, so it just kind of...
I'm
I just love
excited
it.
for the vet.
For the vet.
Because it's just a little different. But then you're also going to get the human healthcare from the Alzheimer's. I think that's going to tie in caregiver-wise. Maybe not like nurse-wise, but caregiver-wise.
I wonder if I'm sure she does. She has like a group of people that she goes and like speaks to about how she can contribute to the book about healthcare.
I want to say that she said in this interview that she has medical consultants. I want to say that's what she said, but don't quote me.
She should hire us.
Abby, we work in surgery. You haven't really hit on that yet.
Yes.
Neil was a surgeon, but
you didn't get into the details.
We could have a whole drama on OR, fun. I just really feel like you should let us.
That would be such a good book. Like, you know how popular that would get?
You know what? Maybe we should just write it.
We're
just
not
kidding,
as good as Abby.
Yeah. So I think the last thing that we should talk about is, was this book worth the hype?
I think it definitely was.
Me too.
Definitely. 100%. 5-star all the way.
Yeah, I don't even have to make a big deal about my 5-star. It was a 5-star.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. Don't even have to.
Honestly,
say why.
I knew it was a 5-star halfway in.
I knew from the first chapter, I was already hooked. I was like, I'm obsessed.
The only thing I hate about Abby Jimenez's books is they always end.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it. And then you're done. And I devour them in like 24 hours.
And then you're just sad.
Yeah. And then my husband's like, wow, that was fast. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to be in a book hangover for the next 2 days. So just expect me to cry. So
I'm so excited for her next book.
I know. I have not found a set release date, but the second I see one, I may pre-order the book.
I will too, to be honest.
And from now on, I think I'm going to get hard copy. Well, not hard copies, but copies of all of her books, just because she's just so good.
Yeah. You know what? We honestly need to look into going to one of her meet and greets.
That would be so fun.
I would love meeting her. That would be so fun.
And she just seems so down to earth too.
Yeah.
Abby, let us know.
We
can help you out. Well, this has been one of our most fun episodes of Shelf Care, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.